by a awesome quote from our former president Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who says, "Man needs a lot of difficulties in life because they are necessary to enjoy the success." So, if we want to be succeeded in our life, if we want to test the success, then we must have the courage to be fail, or we must have the courage to face all sort of difficulties, whatever comes in our way to get the success. So let's start today's lecture. So today we'll be covering the part 2 of chapter 9 of your class 6 science NCERT. So chapter 9 was the living organisms, its characteristics and its habitat, and today's lesson is about the part 2 of it. So already we have covered a major portion and small portion was left, and we'll cover as soon as possible in today's lecture. So first see some examples of characteristic of organisms. Discuss the characteristics of organisms one by one. First of all, in the previous lecture we have already discussed that in our habitat we have two type of component. One is biotic, other is abiotic. Biotic means nothing but the living component, and abiotic means the non-living component. Okay, so biotic means the non-living component have some characteristics because of which they are called as biotic or living. So what are the general characteristic of a living component? Let's discuss one by one. First point is they need some food to survive. Means all the living components, it may be animal, it may be the human beings, it may be a plant, all of us need some food to survive, to be alive. Okay, so means we are having our different type of food varieties. We have already discussed in the first chapter, the very first chapter we have already discussed that for our food we rely upon the plant sources as well as the animal sources. And what about animals? Some animals generally herbivores, they are only depend on the plants for their food, and some animals they do even depend upon the plants, and some of and also depend upon the other animals. So they are called as the omnivores, means they consume their food as plant sources also and animal sources also. So they are called as omnivores like us, and some animals also eat only other animals like carnivores. Like example you can take tiger, lion, etc. And what about the plants? Plants generally prepare their food by their own. They generally don't depend on others for their food. And how they prepare their food? By the process of photosynthesis, because they have the chlorophyll. They take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water and mineral by the root from the soil, and they take the sunlight from the sun and use their chlorophyll to prepare their food. Okay, and generally they leave the oxygen to the atmosphere, which is essential for us to breathe. Then what is second point? Second point is shows growth. Means the living component generally shows growth, but the non-living cannot show the growth. You can take the example of table, chair, car, bus. So all these things never grow. They are generally stand still as it is. But the living components, are they showing some changes? Yes, they are showing so many changes in their life, because whenever we are taking bath, we are like a small baby, but by the time grows our height increases, health increases, everything increases, or we are having a bigger posture. And likewise you can see the example of some other animals, the puppy, the calf, and the chicken. So all the animals have a very small structure while they are given birth, but by the time they have their own adult structures also by time. So next is third point is respiration. Even even the sorry, one point I have forgotten, that in the second point plants also show some growth. Means if if we'll put a seed inside the soil, it will also germinate. It will, even while germinating, it is having only some roots, one or two, or it will have one or two leaves only, but after some time it will grow bigger and it takes a form of a huge tree. So in this way plant also have its own bigger form and shows growth to us. Next point is respiration. So respiration is nothing but the breathing sense. Means all the living component have the breathing sense. Generally inhales oxygen and exhales out the carbon dioxide. But in case of plants it's quite different. While preparing the food, plants generally need carbon dioxide, and after preparation of food even plants needs oxygen for their respiration. So what about the respond to stimuli? Means only a living organism can react to a action whichever hurt to it. Means if anything hurt to us when we are walking or moving, if we are hurt by a thorn, then suddenly we see that what happened to us, why we are hurt, suddenly we give reaction to it, that is the stimuli. But a non-living component can never show a stimuli. So if we'll kick a chair or a table, it will never show us a reaction. It is as it is. So it is called as, because of which it is called as non-living. Yes, the plants also show stimuli. How? You can take the example of mimosa plant. You can generally we are calling it as touch peanut. Okay. So this type of plants have open leaves, but if we will touch them, they generally fold their leaves. So this also shows some stimuli to the foreign bodies. So all the living creatures, even the plants and animals, all show some stimuli towards a action. So this is the fourth point. Then comes the fifth point, excretion. So whatever we are taking as a food, all the food is generally not consumed by our body. Some of the nutrition are taken inside our body to the blood or anything else or for our growth, but the roughages are generally excretes out. All the animals also openly, you can openly see that animals also openly gives their excretory materials, but some of the plants generally don't excrete their waste out. They store it inside itself and in other structures also. Then what about reproduction? So generally living components reproduce their own origin or reproduce their own own versions into reproduce their own versions. Even in the plants also you can see that they generally create seeds to reproduce their number or reproduce their species or to increase their number. Even some plants can grow by their cuttings also, and some of the animals even give eggs to reproduce their species. You can take the example of snake, chicken or any other birds. You can see they generally lay the eggs and to increase their species. Okay, so this is about the reproduction. And what about the movement? Yes, the living components generally able to move while the non-living cannot. Non-living components generally fixed to a position until and unless we give them force to move. They can't move by their own. But the living components generally able to move by their own, by their will. So if you can say, you may ask a question that aeroplane is flying means it is living. No, it is not living, because it is flying by the help of us only. If we will not fly it, then it cannot fly by itself. So all the living components only able to move by their own, by their will, but the non-livings cannot. Even plants can move, means its branches are enlarged, enlarging itself, and it is growing bigger by time, and it also spread to one place. You can see the creepers, it is growing and moving some place to other. Okay, so by growing its size, it generally spreads its area. So it is also a type of movement in the plants. So this is all about our chapter 9 part 2. Here it ends, and next video, in next video or next lesson will be discussed in the next video. So keep watching till the end, don't miss, and try to share with your friends who generally need it, and don't forget to subscribe my channel and like, share and press the bell icon also. Thank you so much. Namaste. Bye bye.